Good morning, wrestling world. Welcome to PWR today for this fine, lovely, gracious Thursday morning, October 14th. It is Linda Kay along with Matthew Thomas. Good morning, Matthew. How are you this morning?
I'm doing wonderful. Awaiting the news of whatever happened to AEW, that short-lived promotion. They were not on television last night, so I guess they
Oh,
just must have just disappeared. It was a good run while it lasted.
yeah, they just hit their 2-year TV anniversary for that show. So,
Yeah, it must have been one of those shows where they go in saying, "Okay, we're going to do this in 2 seasons," and I guess that's kind of what happened with AEW because it wasn't on TV last night. So I'm just assuming that was it.
must have been a ratings thing where it just suddenly did not get picked up.
Yeah, did not get renewed. I'm sure there's other stuff they're going to put on the TNT network. Maybe they'll give Cody another series.
Oh, yeah, perhaps a series with Arn Anderson always disappearing behind his
Oh,
lawn in the
that's
dark.
that's right. Or maybe kind of like a Crime Stopper show with Arn and his Glock.
Ooh, yep, that could possibly be. But as you know, everyone, normally we do have Meathead along with Matthew Thomas. So Meathead, still recovering, still thinking of you, and I hope all those care packages and that spoiled milk that you've received on your doorstep is suiting you well as you're resting at home.
Absolutely. And I mean, I know we've talked to him and he greatly appreciates all of that and everybody who's been showering him with, various gifts and magazine subscriptions. That's a gift that just keeps on giving when you give somebody a magazine subscription. You're going to be with them not just once, but 12, once a month, or you've got long magazine subscriptions now. So you could give him, say, a car and driver subscription or something like that for 4 or 5 years in length. You could let Meathead know that long after he has healed up and recovered, you are thinking about him every single month with that Consumer Report subscription.
Indeed. And you can also send them other various gifts, including something we're all familiar with, right, Matthew?
Oh, that would be collar and elbow. You could definitely deck him all out, or deck any of your loved ones out in collar and elbow swag, available exclusively at collarandelbowbrand.com. And a change of seasons means new collar and elbow gear. So get on over there and check out their full fall lineup. And if you want to save some money on your new gear, enter promo code LindaK, LINDAKAY, saves you 10%. So head on over today and send Meathead a little something. Send yourself a little something while you're at it.
Indeed. So now, Matthew, normally you and Meathead on Thursday mornings discuss the previous night's Dynamite. I know, kidding aside, it was not on last night. As we know, Dynamite will air live this Saturday night instead in Miami. Uh, with or following the night before's Rampage. AW Rampage will take place this Friday night live in Miami and just recently announced that it's going to be extended a bit. So normally we talk about Dynamite Thursday mornings. This morning we're going to talk about the news of how Rampage and Smackdown this Friday, tomorrow night, are gonna end up going head to head, face to face, nuts to butts, if you will, um,
It,
this Friday.
it was only a matter of time. And, everybody, once Dynamite landed on Wednesday night, it was kind of, the mindset from AEW was, hey, we're going to do our own thing. We're not trying to go head to head on Monday nights. It's not the Monday Night Wars 2.0. There's a lane for everybody. And then you saw WWE answer with NXT, and that was kind of a thing until it wasn't, until WWE pretty much abandoned the Wednesday Night Wars. I just wondered with Rampage on Friday night. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock. Yeah, it's quote unquote using WWE as a lead in. We've got the variables right there on the table, all ready for a Friday night war. And this might be the start of it. Basically, it looks like WWE running an extra 30 on their their special Smackdown that's going to be on FS1. Is that correct, Linda?
Yeah, for this Friday night.
And from what I've seen and from what I've heard in Tony Khan's interviews in the last couple of days, doesn't seem like he's taking too fondly to it. And this is as big of a shot across the bow as I've heard from Tony Khan, as I've seen from AEW to WWE thus far. And this Friday night, and who knows if this is something that continues, we've got a little bit of a Friday night war. I don't feel like that's the right term. I don't want to call it a Friday night fight. I feel like that's too easy, and that's kind of the low-hanging fruit. So I haven't decided on an appropriate phrase for whatever this conundrum is as of yet.
Somehow Friday Night Feast came to mind.
Oh, I like that. That's good. You could do Friday Night Fiasco.
Ooh, Friday Night Fire.
Fire. Yeah, there's a lot of options there.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tony Khan this week announced that Rampage will not feature a buy-in, what we normally see before their pay-per-views, but this is going to be a buy-in pre-show that's going to be on AEW's YouTube channel, preceding the live Rampage. So this is the buy-in that will start at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, which will go head-to-head against what would normally be the final hour of SmackDown, but now, as we know, SmackDown's now going to run over that extra half hour, which before the buy-in was announced, we would learn that it's going to go over and go head-to-head into what would normally be the normal Rampage. Boy, this is a lot going on for a Friday night and Saturday, considering Dynamite is going to be Saturday night as well. Matthew, some craziness taking place this weekend in the wrestling world.
It's getting to the point that I really need to allocate time to open up my planner and write in exactly what show is airing when and when they're airing and what's live. And I think that's a great thing. I mean, it hasn't been that long ago, especially when you were having the Monday Raw, the Tuesday SmackDown, where you really did not have much wrestling in your weekend. I mean, it was kind of perceived that, okay, people have stuff going on the weekends. So outside of your pay-per-view once a month on a Sunday or an AEW 4 times a year on a Saturday, weekends were not for professional wrestling. And then we look at this and we've got, I think that this is absolutely, it has been great since the launch of Dynamite, since we've had two big league wrestling companies firing on all cylinders. This is probably the most excited that I have been with AEW and WWE as far as quote unquote competition. And I say that because you've got a company doing a buy-in on a Friday night free TV show. So they are, whether they're, doing this because they've been offended by SmackDown running a little bit later, you've got a company in AEW that is going the extra mile, running an extra hour of TV, calling it a buy-in on a Friday night show. And I'm not going to say, I mean, AEW, they tend to really make their cards matter significantly week to week. But I think what excites me the most about this is the level of importance that they are treating Friday night's Rampage, and the fact that there's a lot of effort there to deliver on their part. And don't think that this has gone unanswered by the WWE. WWE, knowing that they've kind of gotten the ire up of Tony Khan and AEW, I certainly hope they do something significant and deliver a top tier show on Friday as well.
Absolutely. And I mean, the Rampage lineup was already stacked. It was already announced that we would get CM Punk against Matt Sydal. We get the team of Chris Jericho with Sammy Guevara and Jake Hager versus Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page. And then, of course, from what happened last week on Rampage with former UFC champion Junior Dos Santos, we also would get some women's action, Ruby Soho and the Bunny, just to name a few. But then, now that the buy-in has been announced, now we're going to get at least 2 matches that have been announced, both featuring heavy hitters. We got Bryan Danielson as well as Bobby Fish having their own singles matches, as they will later face each other, from what I understand, on the actual Dynamite the next night. So interesting heavy hitters being announced. I mean, do you think that this buy-in and already giving out some of the matches will really pull that many of the viewers who will already be watching SmackDown Live to go to YouTube? Or will, like many of us have YouTube on
Yeah.
maybe our phone or our tablet or computer and have something else like SmackDown on our TV?
So I think there is a lot of a false sense of perception about how much of a quote unquote battle this is. I think anybody interested in both of these companies are going to watch both of them at some point. This what I think what excites me about this is the novelty and the nostalgia of this feeling like a Monday Night War, and knowing at the same time that it is not as significant because we live in an era where the whole ratings and everything, and I'm sure there's ways in their systems to take into account DVR on demand, but the long and the short of it, based on my very rudimentary understanding of it, it's really hard to get a true feel of where everything is at right now. And I know for a fact that a lot of times on Friday night, based on my schedule, if I watch it Friday night, I'm watching it on delay. So I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily going to pull eyes off of that final hour or not, or if somebody's just going to say, "Hey, whatever's more convenient." If it's more convenient to catch SmackDown on your DVR, or if it's more convenient to go ahead and watch that and then just catch. Um, I think because you're kind of crossing technology there, you might actually have more people that are watching the buy-in live. I'm just thinking about my format. I've got a DVR that's going to get SmackDown regardless. With this, you know, here's where I'm at. I would need to watch the buy-in prior to the main show not to get spoiled. That's going to require a little bit more effort on my part. That's going to require me to jump over to YouTube. I've got a Roku, so I'll probably just go ahead and do that. But you're kind of crossing streams a little bit with different devices. So just me thinking out loud, I might be more apt to go over at the when the buy-in starts, just because that kind of frees me up to do whatever else I need to do on my DVR. So I don't know. I don't know that it makes that huge deal, but for the first time, and I'm trying to think. Okay, they went head to head with NXT, but this is the first time we've really seen any of their quote unquote main roster programs go head to head. So I think it's just more of, all right, we see you, we're acknowledging you. And you got to think that's kind of what WWE is doing with going that extra 30 minutes. Because, Linda, when have you ever known SmackDown to go an extra 30? I don't know that it's ever happened.
Not that I can recall. I remember the days of Raw going over the 10 and then the
Yeah.
occasional 3, as long as the Westminster Dog Show was not on. But yeah, I cannot think of when SmackDown would be going over like this. So yeah, so really the true takeaway from this is this being the first significant time where we are getting that hint, that tease, that want of maybe a Friday night feast uh,
Yeah.
taking place this week in October. Or another way to try to catch both shows is to actually fly to Miami and put SmackDown streaming on my phone, and that way I can still catch both shows.
Yes, that is the ultimate multitasker that does not want to miss a thing. You go there and you fly. Oh my goodness, that would be. I really hope somebody does that, because that would be really, really cool. Now, I will tell you one thing that I thought was super neat was, and it made me kind of remind myself where we're at with technology. When I was in the stadium for SummerSlam, I saw we were behind the pre-show there. And so I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm in the stadium. I feel like I've got a pretty good signal here. I'm going to go and launch the Peacock app and actually see if I can watch it, in real time. And sure enough, and it was so cool, because it's like, I'm here and I'm also, seeing what's going on over there in my handheld device that is my telephone. It's like man, we've come a long ways with technology here, So, yeah, I think that could easily be done if you were to make it to Miami and just, launched NBC or FS1 or whatever, however you wanted to acquire your SmackDown signal there. And yeah, it could be that's the ultimate wrestling fan multitask right there.
Yeah, which ironically reminds me. So, going to the live events, of course, there is that feeling, that rush, that energy you don't get anywhere other than being live,
Yeah.
especially at a TV taping. So, over the years with the Pro Wrestling Report, we've done our sweet and sexy ticket packages at each of the WrestleManias that we've been at for the past 10 years. And one of my favorite WrestleManias was in Miami, and in the suite. Okay, so you normally at the live events, one thing that I do miss, and I think most people can agree on this, is hearing the commentating
Right.
and the storytelling that you just what you don't hear when you're there. I
Sure.
mean, obviously,
Sure.
it's one or the other. You get that live energy, that the pops with thousands around amongst you, or
Yeah.
you can sit in the comfort of your home and listen to the play-by-play. There's suite in Miami. What is not? Is this a live stadium? I can't think of it what it's called right now, but um that was one where we did hear the audio at that, and that was also when WrestleMania, it was 28, it kicked off
Yeah.
with AJ Lee and the then Brian
Oh
or Daniel
yeah,
Bryan
yeah. So that was the
kissing, and then
Sheamus Daniel Bryan
Sheamus.
match, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Oh yeah,
goodness.
that was one I was happy that I could hear the audio, because I was probably making a cheese
Yeah.
platter or perhaps mixing a cocktail or two, and I was hearing what was happening, so it made me look, and then boom, the match was done. So just an example, because we were talking about Miami. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, this is also a time when perhaps, I mean, don't count it out for Linda Kay to try to make it to Miami tomorrow.
There you go. Hey, I mean, they make airplanes, and honestly, you can take a nap and be across the country. So like, don't count it out. I mean, it's a very very doable type of thing. But going back to the audio and a live event, and that's one thing that I noticed at SummerSlam, because it's been a little while since I had been to a live event. It's a different experience. It can in a lot of ways lend itself to, if you're not distracted, if you are, tuned in on the match, a lot of ways you have to pay a little bit closer attention and actually those two people or four people or ever how many people in the ring and include the referee in there, that's all that's telling the story. So I think a good example of it was Edge and Seth Rollins with Rollins going after that neck and really exploiting that neck. It was so interesting because, and I've not gone back and watched SummerSlam yet after having been there. I still want to go ahead and do that. What's interesting, I was at 24. I've WrestleMania 24. I don't think I've ever gone back and watched WrestleMania 24. So there are some of the big events like that I've been a little bit cautious about because I kind of want my memory to be my memory. But, at this point, like 24, I mean, that's 2008. So we're 13 years down the road. It's like, all right, the memory's starting to fade a little bit. So I guess it's time to go ahead and revisit it. But it's interesting without having the call. I mean, you are in a lot of ways, it is really much more incumbent upon those people in the ring to get across what they're trying to do, because you don't have the narrator, you don't have somebody saying, oh, he's attacking that because that's the injured arm that happened earlier in the match or that he came back from surgery from. So it's interesting. It is a completely different experience, and it's definitely worth doing from time to time.
Yeah, another great example of that is being at a Royal Rumble.
Oh
And there's always the jumbotrons, but you're
yeah.
not gonna catch every person that's gone over the top rope. But did
Yeah,
both
yeah,
feet
no.
touch the floor? Did they actually eliminate this person, that person? How many people did Kane already eliminate? How many seconds was Santino Marella actually eliminated from the Royal Rumble? I've been to a Royal Rumble before. It is coming, I believe, to Minneapolis or St. Louis.
St.
St.
Louis,
Louis,
St. Louis,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
this upcoming year. So that's not too far from me. I'm not sure how far St. Louis is for you, Matthew, but if
It's
it's
not it's
somewhere,
not terrible. It's not terrible. As a matter of fact, so when I moved from the East Coast to where I'm at now in Colorado, St. Louis was actually like the halfway mark. I stopped there about halfway through my journey, so it's not that bad. It's not a drive that I would like to do, but it's a pretty quick plane flight and a pretty quick direct plane flight. So I might have to look at my calendar come January.
absolutely. I was going to say this could be an early meeting of the minds, if you
Oh,
will. I know you, me, and Meathead have discussed WrestleMania in Dallas next year, but perhaps we can get all of us there to the Royal Rumble to kind of get
well,
things kicking off right in 2022.
and there's some good barbecue joints down there, from what I understand,
Yes.
and yeah, and they've got the big arch, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
so that we could go. I don't. You can't really go up on that, but like it looks like it'd be like a fun like roller coaster ride or something. But I don't think they allow that. You can't go up on it like the Statue of Liberty. But I'm sure like there's some stuff around that you can do.
I'm not really sure. When we did visit that when we went to, I went to St. Louis for the first time for uh, the Raw 20th anniversary, which I believe was 2012. It
Yeah,
would have been
yeah.
summer of 2012, and we did visit the Arch, but I'm not. I feel like you can go in that. We'll have to double check that. So anybody listening from St. Louis or familiar with St. Louis, comment, let us know,
Huh.
because that's definitely something on our checklist
So
for our
the arch
possible.
might have like an inside to it, huh?
I'm 99% sure there is. We're gonna have to look into that. Perhaps one of these days we'll go down a memory lane and pick one of our favorite ever live events from not just WWE but WCW, AEW, TNA, OVW. We'll make that a special episode between the three of us. So speaking of special, Meathead, perhaps we'll get Meathead back tomorrow morning on PWR today. Otherwise, you've got the M.O.T.S and LK holding it down. So just hang tight, tune in tomorrow morning, and see which duo you will get of PWR today. So for Meathead, Matthew Thomas, and myself, Linda Kay, hope you have a tremendous day, and we'll catch you tomorrow morning.